Today we're going to be doing part 2 in our series of setting up a network with Aruba, Sonicwall, and HP gear. Today's tasks will include the VLAN creation on our HP switch. We'll set up some trunk ports so that other devices, additional switches, or our Aruba 7010 controller, those things will connect in and have access to our VLANs. And then we'll set up some access ports on our HP2530 switch and just validate that our DHCP is working as expected to those ports. As a quick overview of what we did in part 1, we created 3 VLANs. VLAN 10 for the teachers, VLAN 20 for the guests, or I'm sorry, VLAN 20 for students, and VLAN 30 for guests. If you look here at the X0 port, it is connected to the switch port 24 on the HP 2530 switch. That will give us access to all of the created VLANs available from the Sonicwall into our 2530 switch. And then we can take a quick look at our Sonicwall and see that indeed we have created these VLANs in this area right here. My mouse is being crazy right now. Okay, let's get started. We will start by clicking Add a VLAN. Our VLAN is number 10 for the teachers. And we'll click Save. We will add another VLAN. This time it will be 20. And that is for the students. And we will save that. And the last one we will add is for guests. VLAN 30. Now we have our VLAN set up, and we'll just need to add trunking and access ports. Our next step is going to be adding access ports to this switch. So let's consider this a top of rack switch, meaning that if you add additional switches to your network, you'll plug them into this switch to get access to all of the VLANs. So we'll plan ahead and we'll say that ports 19 through 28, those are the N4 will be fiber connectors if we would need them. We're going to configure those to be trunk ports. That just basically means that the primary ID will be VLAN 1, and then we're going to add each of our new VLANs, which are 10, 20, and 30, as tagged participants to those ports. So let's get started. We'll start with the teachers. Scoot down to where it says ports and we'll change that. And what we're going to select here is ports 19 all the way to 28. And we're going to select that as tagged. I'm going to say OK. And the nice thing about using the web interface is that it will remember those things. So when I select students and go back and change that, it's already selected. It's selected as tagged and our ports are correct. So we can just say save. Same thing for guests. Now we'll do the very same thing. Tagged. Our ports are selected and we say OK. Now if we look at each individual VLAN, we'll see that teachers have tagged 18 through 28. Select students. Those also are tagged 18 through 28, and guests are tagged 18 through 28. Now the next thing we have to decide is which ports we want to define for access to those types of devices. Port assignments for our 2530 HP switch will be as follows. We'll set up ports 5 through 10, and we'll assign those for teachers. And ports 11 through 15 we'll set up for students, and ports 16 through 18 we will assign to the guests. And generally we don't really have many guest ports on our switches, but in this case we're just going to do it for fun. And note that our trunk ports are 19 through 28. Let's get started assigning our untagged ports to our VLANs. We'll select teachers, and as we have discussed, is we will change this to ports 5 through 10. Oops. 5 through, hold the shift key down, 10, and we will change these to untagged and save those. Now we will select our students. We will change those. That will be 11 through 15, and we will change those to untagged as well. Save those changes, and then guests we will change from 16 to 18. 16 to 18. Untagged, and we'll save those. Then as a quick review, we'll look at our teachers. We notice that our trunk ports, which are still defined as the tagged ports, are 19 through 28. Untagged, meaning you plug in an Ethernet cable into 5 through 10, and you'll get an IP address on that VLAN. Students, the tagged ports are again 19 through 28. Untagged 11 through 15, as we decided. And guests, the tag ports or trunk ports are 19 through 28, and our untagged ports are 16 through 18. All right, well, let's just see if our hard work has paid off. Currently, the iPad, which you see the IP information here, is connected with the yellow wire into port number 2, which is providing us with an IP address on the maintenance VLAN of 172.16.0.x. So let's unplug that and see what we get when we plug into port number 6, which should be part of the teacher VLAN. Should be a 10.1.10 number. And yep, we get an IP in the correct VLAN. We'll unplug that now, and we'll move into the student area, which all the ports 11 through 15 will plug into 12. And we should now get an IP address on the student network. And indeed we do. 10.0.20. And now let's plug into the end, which is 18. And we'll see if we get something on the correct VLAN. And we do 10.30.0.1, which is the gateway for the guest network. In part 3 of our series, we'll hook up the Aruba 7010 controller and some access points and have access to our VLANs. See you in